Thank you so much, Professional Toastmasters Club. And thank you and very good afternoon to everyone. It's evening, I think, right? Good evening to everyone. I wanted to share with you my learnings and my journey on the way. The year was 2004. I had joined this fabulous course which everyone talked about. The trainer was supposed to be a real hard taskmaster, but the course was guaranteed to change your life. I was roughly 25, 26 years at that time, and I thought no harm in joining a course like this. The first day, the trainer made the rules very clear. At 6 p.m. sharp, the doors close. After that, we have a prayer for 2 minutes, and then we open the door. In case you are late for 2 minutes, you can stand outside and walk in. If you come after 6:02, don't even dare knock on the door. I thought it's usual hyperbole by a trainer. I went on to the course. It was going on well for about 4 or 5 weeks, and then one day I was late. I reached at about 6:05. I knew the rules. I shouldn't knock, but I couldn't miss it. I wanted to be there. I had prepared my speech. It was in public speaking, and I wanted to give it. I could hear the voices from inside. I knocked and waited. There was no change. The training was going on inside. I knocked again. The voice stopped. I thought, great, I'm going to get a chance to come in. The person walked to the door, opened the door, and shouted in my face, "A leader is never late," and slammed the door on my face. And there I was, with my face hung down, walking down the floors and going off home, learning what I think became a lesson for life. Fellow Toastmasters and friends, this is an incident that happened to me when I was a student, a participant in a training program. And that has had a profound impact on my whole life. I learned the lesson the hard way, although, of how to live and be on time. A couple of years after this, we started the initiative of starting a Toastmasters Club in Kolkata in 2008. And I was part of the charter team that started this process. I had already been initiated into public speaking by this earlier course, which was called MIL. 2008 onwards, I kept speaking, I kept learning, I kept growing. And I thought the better I become as a speaker, the greater I have become as a trainer. In fact, in most of the officers' training programs, I was a trainer. In some of the district conventions and conferences, I was a trainer. So I thought I'm already a trainer. I think around the year 2012 or so, there was a colleague in Toastmasters who talked to me about another organization. It was called JCI. I didn't know about this organization, so I asked, "What is it?" He said, "It's a training organization." I said, "What's the difference? We are already into public speaking in Toastmasters and we are already doing great, so why do we need that?" He said, "No, you've got to experience it and find out." Well, it seems that this organization had also existed in Kolkata a long time back, but there was no chapter or club at that moment. So he encouraged all of us to start a new chapter. And that started a new chapter in my whole life. I came to know what is training. Well, JCI is a large, again, an international body like Toastmasters across the world, and it's got a large following in India with 40, 45,000 members in the country. And it specializes in improving people through the art of training. Public speaking is a part of it, but it goes beyond that as training. So initially, I took over as president of the chapter and was sent to some chapter leadership training. And I found that the training was a little different from what I had been experiencing or thinking training was in all these days. Well, so far so good, kept learning, was really amazed by the way the training was done over there. Well, for one, it was a lot of activity based rather than content based. I still remember as a president, I was asked to find a picture in a magazine, identify that, take that out, and link it up to my entire team, my vision for the next year, etc. So it really got me an hour or so thinking, linking, making a chart out of it, and then presenting it to the whole team. But that made me start thinking that there is something different between speaking and training. And then finally, I did what is there called a zone trainer workshop. So you become something like a certified trainer for a small area, like a let's say, a division. When I went to this training, I really understood the difference between speaking and training? Well, if you ask me now, I'll say there are four levels. The first level is what we know as public speaking, as speaking, which we have all have been doing. The next level is presenting, which all of us have done in our project 8 or so, where we have been using presentation props or aids to convey our message with more impact. The next level, I realize, is that of teaching, where you take all these skills of presentation and speaking and impart knowledge to a group of people who are in front of you. That's teaching. But then what is training, which I think comes even beyond that? I realized that while teaching focuses on transmitting knowledge, actually training focuses on transferring skill and attitude. And that is the key difference which I realized during my process of evolution from speaking to training. Now you might say that, well, our project 9 or project 10 of the erstwhile course had persuasion, motivation, and that therefore we were covering most of this. Well, in fact, you're right. I realized that a lot of things I learned in Toastmasters, including persuasion, motivation, humorous in speaking, storytelling, everything is a part that you use in training. But what I realized is that every trainer has to be a speaker, but not every speaker is a trainer. Where does the difference lie? And what does it mean? What does it imply? Well, I started reading, I started learning, I started finding out more about it. And I realized that training is essentially about taking responsibility for the other person's outcome. In speaking, we have a fixed time. We give our talk, we give a fantastic impression, we have an impact, we have applause, and we move out. But in training, we take the responsibility for the other person to have a change, either in skills, in attitude, or some other change. So, in fact, there's a trainer who told this very long back, and I really remember that. He said, training isn't over until behavior has changed. Training isn't over until behavior has changed. Now, that's a fantastic and very profound thought that came to me. And so, this whole process, by being a zone trainer and then moving eventually last year, I became a national trainer. But you're licensed and you're authorized to train across the country to basics, of course. But the whole process has been very, very educative and refreshing to me. And what I realize is, how does this differ? Well, here the content is not as important as the delivery. What you have to do is use multiple modes, use adult learning principles to make people involve, engage, and accept your thoughts, your skill you're transferring, or the attitude you're trying to put across. And one mode, only one mode, is speaking. So we play a lot of games. I still remember one game where one of the trainers asked two people who were very, very fit people who used to go to the gym regularly to put on two backpacks and to do skipping. And he would time them how many they can do in an hour, in a minute. So he would time them, and after that, what he did is he put some rocks and stones which he named as negative emotions, anger, hate, jealousy. He put them in one of the bags and then asked both of them to skip again. The person with the weight obviously lost. The message was, if you carry these grudges, if you carry these evils within you, you're not going to get too far ahead in life, even if you have higher talent. Now, this could be told or this could be demonstrated using such an exercise where the person realizes and has an aha moment. I think that is the beauty of training. And I think all of us professional speakers have to understand the potential that this area has and the potential that this has even as a professional scope for all of us. Although keynote speaking is not so popular in India yet, and even if it is, people are not too keen to pay for it, training is a profession which can actually give a lot of benefits. Of course, it requires a lot more skills than just speaking, but I'm sure that we've learned the basics with a very strong foundation with Toastmasters, which we can build on and eventually move on from speaker to presenter to teacher to trainer and finally a world-class, excellent trainer. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Would you like for any question?
If there are any questions, I'll be happy to take them. I just thought I'll give you an introduction about my experience, and if there is anything particular you'd like to know, I can elaborate further.
The question. Yeah. So she is Roly.
Okay, hi, Roly.
Right. Thank you. That was actually extremely enlightening and very concise. I was wondering if I can take you back to that point that you had that training is not considered to have happened until behavior has changed. So, very often we have to exit the training room before we can make certain that the behavior indeed has changed. The aha moments can occur, but change in behavior requires time, effort, and we do not have the opportunity. So, is there, have you employed any kind of mechanisms during your trainings to ascertain whether the behavioral change had happened, or is it something that you also feel is a little
Okay.
unsuccessful so
Okay.
far?
Let me tell you, in my experience, including by the first training that I mentioned, the milk course, the unique feature of this course was there was a training for 14 weeks, every week, 3 hours. The point I'm trying to make is that even a small effort every week counts much more than one 3 hour or 6 hour effort. So essentially, what effective trainings that I've attended or I've conducted also, I've tried to make this model so that there is a continuity and perpetuity in reinforcing the message that you're learning. So this model, rather than a 3 hour training program only, but a kind of continuous model, I mean, think of it as Toastmasters, right? If Toastmasters was one 24-hour program instead of a weekly 1.5 hour program, how effective would it be? So I think Toastmasters, in fact, is an excellent model of a training program without a physical trainer. You see, the training program has to involve the participants. That's what trainers do, right? Here, all the participants are involved. There, a trainer is facilitating it. Here, a book is facilitating it, written by some trainer a long time back. So, in effect, if you study the Toastmasters model, you will find that it is an excellently designed training program, and it has all the components which, if you were to dissect, we get the we get the formula to have a successful training program. So, I think here it's about appreciation, it's about feedback, it's about regularity, and all these together ensure that behavior changes, which all of us evidence it in Toastmasters.
Thank you.
Any more question?
Yes, Rupendra.
Hi, Abdul.
Hi.
I mean, what you said was actually quite enlightening. I learned a couple of things, like Roni said, that training doesn't over until you see a change in behavior. What I also believe is that as trainers, we have to do two things. Number one, we have to be a learner first,
Absolutely.
and then we become a trainer. And the second thing is that we need to leave our ego at the doorstep, that is outside the training. And yet, I see so many people within the Toastmasters fraternity professing to be trainers. Right? How do you overcome that? How do you make them realize that possibly you're not being a trainer right now? A trainer is supposed to be what you are not.
I think you hit the head. You hit the nail on the head, Rupender. You're right. In fact, a training is a big ego dumbing exercise. You've got to kill your ego. If you don't kill your ego, you can't be a trainer. Simple as I think Rupender put it. First, of course, being a learner. Well, all of us claim to be learners. We learn from books, we learn from a lot of places. And everything that we learn, we add on to our repertoire of knowledge, which we keep on, presenting before people. And all the accolades, the appreciation, the awards adds up to our ego. Now, we've got to, in this sense, we are at a level higher than the audience when we speak. But what I learned in while training is you are at the same level. In fact, the whole purpose of training, and there's a beautiful, I'll refer you to a site where you can take a few free classes on this. There's a beautiful concept in this site which says the purpose of a trainer is not to give knowledge. Imagine this. The purpose of a trainer is not to give knowledge. It is to maximize the learning in the room.
Yes.
Think of the change in mindset. They say there are people in this room who will be more knowledgeable than you. Your job is to facilitate that knowledge transfer from them to the others. Don't stand in the
Yes.
way and insist that you are the one who's going to transfer this. So it takes a lot of ego dumping to actually stand back and say, hey, this guy knows more than me. This guy doesn't. Let them learn from each other. I will only be a facilitator. So I think that's a fantastic way of looking at training. The purpose is to maximize the learning in the room, not to stand as the prophet of all knowledge over there and to keep transmitting that. There is a site, as I mentioned, you can look at it. It's called skillsconverged.com. Skillsconverged.com. There is a train the trainer self-study course. It's by email. It gets 20 parts, I think, one they send per week. You can enroll for it for free. And it gives you a lot of thoughts in the way a trainer should be. And I think being speakers, it's a very good value add and a complementarity to us to understand that where are the small changes, tweaks we need to make in order to evolve from speakers into trainers. Now, how do we change that? How do we make people realize that, Sutender? I think the best inoculation is knowledge. And I think the more we get these kind of materials, the more we get to know about these kind of things, the more we'll be able to realize it. Obviously, you can't tell them on their face, but I think that over time they will be able to understand and realize this. That in fact, one of the trainers told me that normal trainers, they don't, when they come in, they kneel in front of the audience and say, "Hello, fellow learners," and that's how they introduce themselves. That's a fantastic way. Imagine they kneel in front of the audience and they say, "Hello, fellow learners." That's the kind of ego, shall I say, killing that you have to do. You have to run in this thing. The real purpose must be only one: the welfare of the audience, the learning of the audience.
Thank you very much. Any more question? Okay, thank you very much for joining us.
Right.
It was wonderful.
My pleasure to be here. And all the best to this Professional Speakers Club for a wonderful meeting and continual wonderful learning on the way. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do visit us if you are here in this side of the world. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, will be.
Thank you.